वैराग्य विद्या निज भक्ति योगा शिक्षार्थमेक पुरुष पुराण श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य शरीर धारी कृपाम्बुदीयतमहं प्रपद्ये मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम् पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone in the study of Nectar of Instruction. So we'll continue our study, and today we'll see from text 6. Hmm. Now these instructions are for us to help us to understand Krishna consciousness, to practice in our further strengthening our practice in Krishna consciousness, building our faith, and fascinating, written 500 plus years ago, still so relevant. And this is timeless wisdom altogether. So doesn't matter. They were 500 years ago written. They were uh, timeless wisdom 100 years back as well, and 100 years going forward as well. It will be timeless wisdom fully. So now these instructions are, why are they? They are there to help us become a devotee, to help us find our, say, resolve faith in Krishna consciousness. No? That thing, it's extremely important to find one resolve and faith in Krishna consciousness. Without having that firm conviction and resolve, one cannot practice continuously. One cannot practice for the, and we want it to be a eternal engagement, Krishna consciousness, or at least in this lifetime, till our last physical breath, we should be practicing Krishna consciousness. We should be thinking of Krishna, glorifying Krishna. That much. So, like, say na, someone, say suppose someone has come to temple for a day visit, or maybe for 2 weeks stay in temple. Say suppose, just saying as an example, don't know, someone has come to volunteer in the temple. Sometimes many temples around the world they accept people to come and do some offer some voluntary services. So suppose someone has come to volunteer in the temple for 2 weeks, and it is the last day of the stay in the temple. And the person ideally would be very nice, right? If the person makes every minute of it. Suppose the person has to leave last day and say going back by bus. Now the last bus could be say 7 p.m. Just saying say it's if the last bus is 7 p.m. or just after 7 p.m., then if the person stays till like say 7 or just before 7, then making the full of it, right? So for that one day, see, Krishna appreciates so much. No, Krishna really appreciates this mood, this attempt, this attitude, this sort of, okay, wow, he or she stayed in the temple, could have left at morning 8 a.m. or morning after breakfast, but no. The person stayed till about say half six something, and then leaves. So very nice gesture. No? And likewise in this life as well, till the last physical breath, we should be thinking of Krishna, we should be glorifying Krishna, we should be remembering Krishna. And this has to come natural. We cannot force ourselves to really love someone. We can push ourselves to certain extent, but then not like out of something naturally coming out. No? Huh? We cannot glorify someone for how long and how much from heart can we glorify. But when we chant the holy names of Krishna, then we will definitely be naturally falling in love with Krishna. We will naturally be liking the process. We will naturally be taking on board the process of Krishna consciousness. Chanting is such an say instant medicine. It resolves it, reveals it, heals it. Many of the questions which we have and many questions which we do not even have. But chanting is tremendous. It helps clears everything out. So, now, uh, these instructions are there to help us that continue further and further in our experience of Krishna consciousness, in our exploration of Krishna consciousness. Tell you something. One thing is Krishna conscious. Huh? Before becoming Krishna conscious, I think before becoming Krishna conscious, it is. I think it will be very helpful if we all become Krishna curious. Huh? This curiosity in Krishna consciousness. If we get slightly curious or decently curious, na, in Krishna consciousness, then that will help us a lot. Curiosity is a nice emotion. Na? I'm curious how travel plan will be like, how going in that country, how doing this job or meeting this person, curious for a movie, curious for this. Likewise, when we develop some curiosity in Krishna consciousness, Krishna becomes very pleased. Wow, someone becoming curious for me. Huh? Krishna becomes very pleased. So, before becoming Krishna conscious, it is very nice if we become Krishna curious. That ways, we avoid ourselves from becoming sentimental. We don't want to be sentimental in Krishna consciousness. See, we do want to carry sentiments. We do want to have emotions. Huh? It is very good to have sentiments, but it is not good to be sentimental. Huh? Sentimental is where um, it's very mind driven, not so good. Sentiments is something heart driven. So we want that sentiments, but not sentimental. So if we are Krishna curious, then we will have the proper sentiments. We won't be sentimental. And if we are sentimental, we cannot continue practicing Krishna consciousness. If we are just sentimental, na? So again, Krishna consciousness, before, it's very nice if we can explore Krishna consciousness. Ah, one need not say practice as such. If one is exploring, that's great. Even say someone practicing further and further exploration, further and further exploration. If we continue in exploring Krishna consciousness, we'll continuously be finding charm in Krishna consciousness. And this is so charming, and this mysticism in Krishna consciousness can really help us from getting distracted anywhere else. Uh, If we are, it's much better to be distracted with Krishna than to be distracted anywhere else. Uh, So let us pray that we explore, keep on exploring Krishna consciousness. Let us pray that we get distracted in Krishna. Uh, That would be the best attraction, to become distracted in Krishna. Let us pray that before becoming Krishna conscious, we become Krishna curious. And this curiosity keeps on and on and on and on. Then there will be real charms there. So, with this prayer, mood, aim, aspiration, hope, say, longing, yearning, we continue our study of Nectar of Instruction. We'll see text 6 for today. Fifth, sixth, they share some commonology or common, a bit common theme. Let's see. So, uh, once the translation will be on screen, say, I can ask maybe Anuja to read translation and Karthike can maybe read the purport. It should be coming on screen, the translation and
Yes,
purport.
Prabhuji. Should I share my screen, Prabhuji?
त्रिस्ते स्वभावजनितेर्वपुषश्च दोषेर्न प्राकृतत्वमिह भक्तजनस्य पश्येत् गङ्गाम्बसां न खलु बुद्बुदफेन पङ्के ब्रह्मद्रवत्वमपगच्छति निरधर्मे. Anujari translation.
Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Gangas, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganga's water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Gangas without considering the condition of water. Purport. Shuddha Bhakti, the activity of the soul proper, in other words, engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is performed in a liberated condition. In Bhagavad Gita 14.26, it is stated, Mama Chayo Vyabhicharina Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samit Samatyatin Brahma
Samatyetan.
Kalpate.
Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Nice.
One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
Okay, Anuja, I can ask maybe Alicia to read.
Abhi, yeah, are we up to there or one who engages? Yeah. Yeah. Abhi Bahagrini. Bhakti means unalloyed devotion. A person engaged in devotional service must be free from material motives. In this Krishna conscious movement, a person engaged in devotional service must be free from material motives. In this Krishna conscious movement, one's consciousness must be changed. If consciousness is aimed toward material enjoyment, it is material consciousness, and if it is aimed towards serving Krishna, it is Krishna consciousness. A surrendered soul serves Krishna without material considerations. Anya Bihilasita Sanyam Yan Kamadi Anarvitam. Unalloyed devotional service, which is transcendental to the activities of the body and mind, such as jnana, mental speculation, and karma, fruitative work, is called pure bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is the proper activity of the soul, and when one actually engages in unalloyed, uncontaminated devotional service, he is already liberated. Sagunan Samayatitan. Krishna's devotee is not subjected to material conditions, even though his bodily features may appear materially conditioned. One should therefore not see a pure devotee from a materialistic point of view. Unless one is actually a devotee, he cannot see another devotee perfectly. As explained in the previous verse, there are three types of devotees: Kanastha Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The Kanis Adhikari cannot distinguish between a devotee and a non-devotee. He is simply concerned with worshipping the deity in the temple. A Madhyana Adhikari, however, can distinguish between the devotee and non-devotee, as well as between the devotee and the Lord. Thus, he truly Thus, he treats the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotee and the non-devotee, in different ways. Keep going? Yeah. No one should criticize the bodily defects of a pure devotee. If there are such defects, they should be overlooked. What should be taken into account is the spiritual master's main business, which is devotional service, pure service to the Supreme Lord. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, even if a devotee sometimes seems to engage in abominable activities, he should be considered a sadhu, a saintly person, because his actual identity is that of one engaged in the loving service of the Lord. In other words, he is not to be considered an ordinary human being. Even though a pure devotee may not be born in a Brahmana or Goswami family, if he is engaged in the service of the Lord, he should not be neglected. In actuality, there cannot be a family of Goswamis based on material considerations, caste, or heredity. The Goswami title is actually the monopoly of the pure devotees. Thus we speak of the 6 Goswamis, headed by Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami had particularly become Mohammedans and had therefore changed their name to Dabir Kasa and Sakaram Malik. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself made them Goswamis. Therefore, the Goswami title is not hereditary. The word Goswami refers to one who can control his senses, who is master of the senses. A devotee is not controlled by the senses, but is the controller of the senses.
I'm sorry.
Consequently, yeah,
Yeah.
keep going.
Consequently,
He should be called Swami or Goswami, even though he may not be born in a Goswami family. According to this formula, the Goswamis, who are descendants of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Prabhu, are certainly devotees, but devotees coming from other families should not be discriminated against. Indeed, whether the devotees come from a family of previous acharyas or from an ordinary family, they should be treated equally. One should not think, oh, there is an American Goswami, and discriminate against him. Nor should one think, here is a Nityananda Vamsha Goswami. There is an undercurrent of protest against our awarding the title Goswami, the American Vaishnavas of the Krishna consciousness movement. Sometimes people flatly tell the American devotees that their sannyasa or title of Goswami is not a bona fide. However, according to the statements of Srila Rupa Goswami in this verse, an American Goswami and a Goswami in a family of acharyas are non-different.
on the other hand, a devotee who has attained the title of Goswamis but is not born of a Brahmana father or of a Goswami in the family of Nityananda or Advaita Prabhu should not be artificially puffed up by thinking that he has become a Goswami. He should always
Karthik,
remember.
can you share screen as well?
My screen is not being shared, Prabhuji.
Well, we are not able to see.
No, I'm not able to see it.
Oh, okay. Yes, for some reason the screen sharing stopped. Wait.
If you can share and read, or otherwise just
Yeah.
read.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
I'll start again. On the other hand, a devotee who has attained the title of Goswami but is not born of a Brahman father or of a Goswami in the family of Nityananda or Advaita Prabhu should not be artificially puffed up by thinking that he has become a Goswami. He should always remember that as soon as he becomes materially puffed up, he immediately falls down. This Krishna conscious movement is a transcendental science and there is no room for jealousy. This movement is meant for param, paramhamsas who are completely free from all jealousy. Parmamam nirmat saranam. One should not be jealous whether he is born in a family of Goswami or has the title of Goswami awarded to him. As soon as anyone becomes envious, he falls from the platform of Param, Parma,
Paramahamsa. Hmm.
Paramahamsa. If we consider the bodily defects of a Vaishnava, we should understand that we are committing an offense at the feet of the Vaishnava. An offense at the lotus feet of Vaishnava is very serious. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described this offense as Hatimata, the mad elephant offense. A mad elephant can create a disaster, especially when it enters into a nicely trimmed garden. One should therefore be very careful not to commit any offense against Vaishnava. Every devotee should be ready to take instructions from a superior Vaishnava, and a superior Vaishnava must be ready to help an inferior Vaishnava in all respects. One is superior or inferior according to his spiritual development in Krishna consciousness. One is forbidden to observe the activities of a pure Vaishnava from a
इसे
material
पढ़ो
point.
वो सुपीरियर और क्या था ना वन इज सुपीरियर और inferior. See, in our readings, just personally, I find it nice. If whilst reading, maybe I think it would be nice if someone reads in a way that he's able to follow for himself. And if he can follow for himself, then possibly good chance that others who are listening, they are also able to follow. And sometimes some readers, when they read, they can have that capacity that they can engage the audience also in that reading. Hmm? And
Mhm.
in reading, when we are reading, surely there will come some sentences, some statements which capture our attention, which while reading we'll be like, wow. So anything that comes like that in your reading, read it twice, read it thrice. Hmm? So read this sentence again. One is superior or inferior.
Yes, Prabhuji. One should therefore be very careful not to commit any offense against a Vaishnava. Every devotee should be ready to take instructions from a superior Vaishnava, and a superior Vaishnava must be ready to help an inferior Vaishnava in all respects. One is superior or inferior according to his spiritual development in Krishna consciousness. One is forbidden to observe the activities of a pure Vaishnava from a material point of view. From the neophyte especially, considering a pure devotee from a material point of view is very injurious. One should therefore avoid observing a pure devotee externally, but should try to see the internal features and understand how engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. In this way, one can avoid seeing the pure devotee from a material point of view, and thus one can gradually become a purified devotee himself. Those who think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotees, or a certain section or a certain tract of land are generally prone to see the external features of the devotee. Such neophytes, unable to appreciate the exalted service of the advanced devotee, try to bring the Mahabhagvat to their platform. We experience such difficulty in propagating this Krishna consciousness all over the world. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by neophyte God brothers who do not appreciate the extraordinary activities of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. They simply try to bring us to their platform and they try to criticize us in every respect. We very much regret their native activities and poor fund of knowledge. An empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being. For it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread Krishna consciousness movement all over the world.
Okay, Pip can read this last para in translation.
Hare Krishna. When one thus criticizes a pure devotee, he commits an offense, Vaishnav aparad, that is very obstructive and dangerous for those who desire to advance in Krishna consciousness. A person cannot derive any spiritual benefit when he offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnav. Everyone should therefore be very careful not to be jealous of an empowered Vaishnav or a Shuddha Vaishnav. It's also considered an offense. It's also an offense to consider an empowered Vaishnav an object of disciplinary action. It's offensive to try and give him advice or correct him. One can distinguish between a neophyte Vaishnav and an advanced Vaishnav by their activities. The advanced Vaishnav is always situated as the spiritual master, and the neophyte is always considered his disciple. The spiritual master must not be subjected to the advice of a disciple, nor should a spiritual master be obliged to take instruction from those who are not his disciples. This is the sum and substance of Srila Rupa Goswami's advice in the 6th verse. Translation. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee. But despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It's exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. Hare Krishna.
Were you able to hear Pips say the translation?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. दृष्टे स्वभावजनितेर्वपुषश्च दोषे न प्रकृतत्वमिह भक्तजनस्य पश्येत् गङ्गाम्बसां न खलु बुद्बुदफेन पङ्खे ब्रह्मद्रवत्वमपगच्छति नीरधर्मे. This Srila Rupa Goswami is advising us. Like in previous verse we saw, na? Rupa Goswami advising us how to interact or deal with devotees. Na? Different devotees, we all are in a journey. We all are in a journey. And this journey, more than external, it is an internal journey, an internal progress, an internal advancement in Krishna consciousness. Now, how can you check someone's internal? Na? As such, huh? Okay, external show the internal as well. How one is sober, calm, peaceful, and his attitude, and his response, and his understanding in Krishna consciousness. See, we said na many a times philosophy, culture, and etiquette. This philosophy is the foundation. It is the foundation. The more we are strong philosophically, the more we'll find our appreciation, our charm, our personal engagement in Krishna consciousness. But if somewhere not so fine, say philosophically, then will be very much there's a good chance of becoming just sentimental. Sentimental is not good. No? So drishte swabhava janiter vapusascha doser. Vapu is body. Drishte is this vision. Swabhava janiter. Now this swabhava janiter, swabhava is nature by one's own nature. Now, and this world is a world of racism, isn't it? There's so much of race discrimination, na? Based on accent, based on bodily color, and based on where one comes from. So much. So swabhava janitir, based on the natures we have accumulated over previous lives. And seeing body only, we find absorption seeing in the body, beautiful body or not beautiful body. Uh, but what is inside the body? Be it the male body or female body, na? Inside the body, doesn't matter male body or female body, is all blood, bile, mucus, all filthy things only. But so much of this absorption or heavily attachment we have towards body, and this bodily attraction is very strong. Undoubtedly, is the most strongest attraction. Say bodily attraction between men and women. Say, and in this we compromise. Say the man may not have good qualities, but if woman is attracted towards him for whatever, say, then we ignore whatever not so good qualities he may be having. We ignore, we tend to overlook, adjust. So drishte swabhava janitir vapusascha dosir. So in a devotee, we should not see bodily defects, or that this devotee, his throat is not good, he doesn't sing so well. No, these are bodily considerations, that he's so tall or he's so fat or so this or so that. All bodily considerations. There's no Krishna consciousness is above matter altogether, right? It is not at all on the mundane material platform. It is completely spiritual transcendental process. So how come can be any scope for any bodily defects, any bodily calculations? See, society, if I may say, is very much on works or lives on expectation platform. Everyone expects expectation platform, and Krishna consciousness begins when we come to the acceptance platform. So society has definitely expectation. Okay, looks wise there is expectation, dressing wise, fashion wise, money wise, work wise, all such status wise, and all so much of expectations. But in Krishna consciousness, these are no considerations. We ask this question, say, what? Uh, what is the current world population? 8 point something billion? 8 billion, I think it has touched 8 billion human population. Na? Now, this human population, 8 billion, can we find one person who can come up with a reason that he cannot or she cannot practice Krishna consciousness? One person, can he come up with a reason that for such and such reason I cannot practice Krishna consciousness? If we search now throughout the world, we cannot find a single reason why a person cannot practice Krishna consciousness. Suppose someone comes to devotees and says that, dear sir, this is the reason, and for this reason I cannot practice Krishna consciousness. No devotee will ever find that reason satisfying. No. An excuse, unlimited excuses. Unlimited excuses for not practicing Krishna consciousness. No? Hmm. So this practice of Krishna consciousness is not at all on the bodily platform. Society lives on the bodily platform. That is why we have what this Black Lives Matter and so many other things, na, going on. We were discussing few days ago, na, that in this gender identity, whatever that is called, na, gender identity, people write their pronouns, na, nowadays so much. That what he, him, and she, her, and then them, they. Then there is one more thing which I feel is the real one. If someone really wants to write, call it out. that what is my identity. See, this is who I am. Some like to be said na, I am she or he her, huh? Some like, okay, I'm he or him. Some, no, don't call me she or he, I am them, they. But in actually, what is it? I feel it is more me and me. Hmm. It's all me and me sort of identity we carry. Bodily identity, na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pasyat. Prakritatvam is like material. So we should not be seeing a devotee with material vision, with material understanding, material consideration, material vision. And what to speak of seeing a spiritual master or a elevated Vaishnava, a realized soul in any material consideration? Very dangerous. At one point in bhakti, it is not the amount of japa, not the how many japa one does, or not like how many even say Rath Yatra one has attended. Na? At one point, bhakti advancement should become what? How tolerant one is and how less critical one is. How less critical means naturally peaceful, na then? Hmm? Who criticizes? One who has spare time. One who has too much of spare time, one who does not have good engagement. He will look for criticism, he will be criticizing here and there. Not saying that we shouldn't be criticizing. Criticism is fine for personal growth and for the growth of the other person. But okay, I ask this question: is comparison good in spiritual practice? To compare, comparison, na? Is
Yes, Prabhuji.
comparison? Karthike says yes. Nivedita also is nodding, and Pip is confused. Anuja?
Yes, if it develops or if it brings more Krishna conscious, if it makes us become more Krishna conscious.
Hmm. Comparison in the
Also,
sense, hmm,
in the purport, Prabhupada said that, uh, neophyte devotee should always be under under a senior devotee. So until we
hmm,
can compare that, if someone is senior to us or he is neophyte to us, we cannot do this service. We cannot be guiding them, or we cannot be guided by them. So somewhere the
sure,
comparison is required.
sure. See, the society we live in, it can never be a classless society. Howsoever efforts we make, classless meaning, can it be okay? Again, a different, similar question, and we'll try to address both of this. So, this question, the world very much is striving or wants a equal society, right? Equality. Talks of equality. Can the society ever be equal? Can there ever be equality, proper fair equality in society? Okay, Pip again looks confused. And Harsha, Anuja,
No,
Karthik
no, until and unless for each one of us, the Father, the source is the same till then now.
If we like, we have to define equality first, I think, Prabhuji. If equality means that everybody is eligible to do the same job, or everybody is treated exactly the same in every aspect in this world, then I don't think that can be the case ever. But if we see equality as in the
Nice.
respect we give to everybody, then there can be equality, that we respect everybody the same, or we treat everybody with good respect.
Hmm. So, external consideration, there can never be equality in society, na? External based on bodily, external identification and all. But as Karthik is saying, in spirit, yes. Like, you would share this example and see, na? Uh, Generally speaking, we all have what? Two hands, 10 fingers, na? 5 fingers in one hand, generally speaking, again. Um, Now, five fingers. Are any of these five, amongst these five fingers, are any two fingers the same length? No. Five fingers in one hand. Are any two fingers of the same hand, are they of the same length? No. Right. But how much do we discriminate? How much do we say that little finger, you're so small, no good use, or we don't, na? We don't. Externally, bodily wise, okay, they may be of different length, but they all have got their upyogita, as in they all have got their role to play. Hmm. Likewise, externally, there is differences. Within, say, us practicing Krishna consciousness, someone is temple president, someone is in the temple management, hmm, and some others are not in temple management, say. So it should not be like, okay, wow, he's temple president, so he's big and this. There has to be these things for the smooth functioning, no? For the smooth working and all. But at heart, at spirit, there should not be this inequality or disparity. So comparison, speaking of comparison, we cannot live without comparison as well. We cannot. But comparison as should lead us to inspiration. Huh? It should not create a sense of competition. It, it should not create a sense of jealousy oriented competition. That is not good. But comparison, if it is helping me advance, if it is helping me grow, some benchmark has to be seen. Some comparison as in someone I can emulate, I can idealize. Idealize, huh? I can idolize someone. That doesn't mean in Krishna consciousness that we outbeat the person or outsmart the person or we overtake the person. In Krishna consciousness, see, once a senior, always a senior. No? Huh. Everyone is actually advanced devotee. This should be our vision. Everyone is far much better than me. See, our realization and vision should be like this. If I were in the other devotee's shoes, as in if I were in other devotee's life, I would have made it to, if I were in other devotee's life, say, I would have spoiled it by now. The other devotee is so nicely practicing Krishna consciousness. If I were in his position, I would have spoiled it by now. And if the other devotee was in my position, if other devotee was in my life, say, he would have made it all the way through by now. That is how we should be seeing each other. Our Krishna consciousness will take a different turn altogether when we actually learn how to live with devotees, how to deal with devotees, how to be in a loving relationship with devotees. When we learn to glorify devotees, na? That and glorification, it cannot be so much forceful. Forceful glorification is fine, but for how long can we force ourselves? So in Krishna consciousness, there is not no scope for external considerations. Like it says in the translation, it is exactly like the water of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. But the Ganges water do not become polluted. Those who advance in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. Karthika, Kabir, philosopher, a poet from India,
Yes,
some
yes,
slokas or dohes he has given. What
yes.
was that? Mm, जाति न पूछो साधु की पूछ लीजियो ज्ञान, huh? Something,
Mm,
na? And what?
yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, I remember
Some
this.
nice,
Mm.
uh, like, yeah, some nice dohe for ethical morality
जाति न पूछो
perspective and
साधु
all.
की पूछ लीजिए ज्ञान मोल करो तलवार का पड़ा रहन रहन दो
Oh
म्यान.
man, huh? Yeah. So we should never check into the external material consideration of a devotee. External and material consideration. We should be seeing the potential of the devotee altogether. And what to speak of spiritual master? It is such a huge offense to see spiritual master as an ordinary human being. Wow. It is a killer for a sadhaka's advancement in Krishna consciousness then. So at one point advancement is based on how less critical, how less offending we are. You know, what is the many times we hear this term, na senior devotee, hmm, or is it senior devotee? Huh? Now, what does this senior mean? Seniority is by what? Age? Hmm? By, I think Pip is again confused. Let me say the experience. Adriana says, nice, okay. Seniority is by what? By number of
By
years in
devotion
practice?
towards the
Huh?
by
By what?
devotion towards Lord, by devotion, by the level of devotion towards the Lord,
By the level of devotion towards Krishna,
by his knowledge.
his shastric knowledge, scriptural knowledge, his knowledge, understanding in Krishna consciousness. Hmm. Yeah, true, true. See, seniority, age-wise also, yes. Seniority, that respect, culture, etiquette should be there. Then someone practicing for how many years? Yes, very nice. If someone is dedicatedly practicing for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, 40, 50 years, tremendous. Yes, Anuja?
Uh, by his behavior, in the sense he's applying all the principles that are being taught in the scriptures into his real world, and he's
Sure.
following and he's feeding.
Nice. Yes, Karthika?
Prabhuji, I think the experience or time can be argued upon, as like if we can understand this by example, Adi Shankaracharya started preaching when he was just 16 years old, and he was able to debate and defeat everybody and prove his superiority amongst everybody as a saint at even at the age of 2022, something like that.
So there is no material consideration, of course, sure. But by experience and this longevity meaning, if someone is practicing for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, that appreciation should be given, na? Someone
Of course,
is continuing
no,
to
that
practice. Hmm?
appreciation is definitely given, but I would argue that that does not just that is not the only aspect which can
Yeah, that
ex-
is not the only aspect to say someone is senior. For us, actually, we should be looking for opportunities. We should be uh, strongly looking for opportunity to see the seniority in others. Uh, for us, how can
yes,
we see everyone senior? This should be our effort. That yes, every other devotee is so senior to me. Hmm. Now, seniority, see, two things I will say. Hmm. One is senior in sins. Hmm. One is senior in sins, another is senior in service. Hmm. And this Krishna consciousness is the platform wherein we come in Krishna consciousness. All of us, when we enter Krishna consciousness, we all are entering as senior in sins. Hmm. We all enter Krishna consciousness as senior in sins. Na? But practicing Krishna consciousness, we can be senior in service attitude. Hmm. In service. Service meaning seva. Huh? What is the way to win someone heart? Through service only, na? Through seva. Hmm. How will Krishna give darshan? When we are desperate for seva. Not just seva, when we are desperate for seva, when we are desperate to please Krishna, na? Then hmm, there's a shloka coming in my mind now. With your permission, let me just for my say thing purification. Let me share. Uh, Srila Prabodhanand Saraswati writes this, I believe. And maybe Chaitanya Chandramrita or Chaitanya Chandradoya. But let's see. Radhika Charan Renu Radhika Charan Renu Bhushan Koriyatanu Anayase Pabe Giridhari राधिका चरण रेणु भूषण कोरिया तनु अनायासे पावे गिरिधारी राधिका चरण आश्रय जे कर से महाशय तारे मुँह जाऊं बलिहारी राधिका चरण रेणु भूषण कोरिया तनु अनायासे पावे गिरिधारी राधिका चरण आश्रय तारे मुँह जे कोर से महाशय तारे मुँह जाऊं बलिहारी हाँ? Radhika Charan Renu. Charan we understand feet. Renu is what? Dust. Bhushana Kauriya Tanu. Bhushana we understand is ornament. One whose ornament is what? The dust, the lotus feet, the service of Srimati Radharani. Bhushana Kariya Tanu. Tanu is body. So in his all body means all absorption, all consciousness, all focus is this servitorship of Srimati Radharani. The lotus feet of one who has aimed for the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. What will happen? Anayase Pabe Giridhari. Pabe is attain. Hmm? Pabe Giridhari. Anayase. Anayase means without effort. Easy. Sahaj. Sahaj. As Prabhu Pip was explaining yesterday, this shloka actually was saying he liked it very much. And reading this, he found it so fascinating. He was saying, Anayase Pabe Giridhari. You know, many times we go for shopping, na supermarket and all. And what? Buy this toothpaste and you get this toothbrush free. Huh? So Radhika Charan Renu, one who actually surrenders to the one who aims for the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, Krishna will come free. Hmm. If one aims for that, for the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, servitorship of Srimati Radharani, then Krishna will come from the front. Krishna will say, come have me. Krishna will want to meet us. That is the thing. And this is what Mahaprabhu has come to give us. Exactly this. This Radha Dasyam is what Mahaprabhu has come to give us. And we see this throughout in Chaitanya Charitamrita. eh? So, uh, and this attitude we need to build. It is this attitude, na? Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardhan, not external Grahi Janardhan. Hmm. Externals doesn't bother Krishna at all. What have we got to give? And actually, other than Bhav, we have got nothing to give Krishna. Nothing. Can any one of us give Krishna anything?
Prabhuji, you are not audible.
Can you hear me now, Kartika?
Yes, Ashish.
Okay. So, Krishna accepts only bhav, and what we offer to Krishna. Hare Hari Bol. Krishna. Hare Krishna. So Krishna accepts only bhav, na? He doesn't accept anything external. No, nothing external can please him. And what we offer Krishna is all external, na? We hardly like bhav has to be brought in our offering to Krishna. Bhav has to be brought in. This emotion, sentiments, transcendental emotions, transcendental sentiments, loving emotions, loving sentiments, that all has to be brought in. Door is open. That has to be there. Otherwise, there will be a gap. Otherwise, there will be a gap in our relationship. And this is nectar of instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami instructing us that not to see the material defect or the material position of a devotee, not the external. Like Ganges, na? Ganges is pure, externally and internally, throughout. Just on the surface, okay, we see, or externally we see some pollution, some dirt. But actually, in intrinsic way, there is no pollution, there is no dirt. Like a 100 rupee note, or a 10 pound note, or a 10 American dollar or Australian dollar note, say. Now, the note may be a bit crushed. The note may have some ink on it. The note may have some color in it, something in it. But that is just the external. Na? The note is still exchangeable, still tradable. The note is still very much pure. The note still has its value and everything. Is it not? So, likewise, just externally, Ganga, there could be some mud, some dirt, huh? But that doesn't at all diminish the potency or the purity of Ganga. So, externally, in our, it is a path of consciousness, huh? Krishna consciousness. Huh? For a reason, it is called as consciousness. Huh? Krishna consciousness. So, it is a journey of consciousness, it is a path of consciousness. And in this consciousness, is what there's no this scope for material considerations, checking one on based on one's material agenda, na? Externals, looks wise. Again, the it is like we say, no, it is not the this. It is not the size of the dog that matters in the fight, na? It is the size of the fight that matters in the dog. It is the size of the fight in the dog that matters. So it is this willingness, this attitude, uh, this desperation, this desire, this hankering, this longing. That what matters. That what pleases. We can never please Krishna by giving him a report card of how many rounds of japa we have done. Never by how many Rath Yatras have we attended, how many classes have we listened to, how many Kirtan Melas have we attended. No, how many does not matter. It is how much have we involved ourselves in it. Na? How much? How much have we gone into it? That matters. Yeah. Like one day we were discussing, na? One is what? Sadhana ka avesh, and another is sadhana mein avesh. Which is better? साधना का आवेश or साधना में आवेश? Huh? One is sadhana ka आवेश, na? Like, okay, I do this much japa, huh? This much reading, this much hearing, and sadhana में आवेश. Absorption of sadhana or absorption in sadhana? One should be absorbed in sadhana or one should be absorbed of sadhana. Okay, I'll let you think. Huh? But there's no material consideration. There's no material calculations in Krishna consciousness. It is completely off the grid, as they say, no? Something like it is completely above matter strata. Mm, completely spiritual, pure. This is why, like in Parapadna, Prabhupada explaining, see, that Goswamis, Goswami is not like a family hereditary title, say. Mm, by anyone can become a Goswami. Na? Rupa Goswami in the first instruction himself is saying, one who has good control over mind, senses, one who can tolerate the urges of mind, senses, speech, hmm, anger, uh, and belly, genitals. He is qualified to accept disciples all over the world. He is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Na? Goswami, na? Swami is master. Go means senses. So one who has control over his senses. Na? One who has controlled the senses, yes, then he can have disciples. He can make disciples. But when his senses are not controlled, then he is Godas, servant of the senses. He is driven by senses altogether. So someone taking sannyas or becoming Goswami, say, is not at all dependent on one's birth place, one's country of residence or passport identity. No, passport identity could be anything: American, Australian, Indian, whatever. Na? But that doesn't defy or hmm, like education. Na? There's so many students from India. They go to outside of India to take education. Na? Now, where what is the thing that calls them? Okay, the university. How good is the university? How good are the students who have gone out of this university? Na? Who have passed from this uni? How good are the teachers? The courses? That is the thing. Now we go to university na, from India to other places or from other places to India to study. Now we do not discriminate or check na, oh, is an American professor or Indian or German or British professor or Russian professor. No, good professor is what we. So likewise, Goswami or someone practicing Krishna consciousness is irrespective. It doesn't matter on one's background check as such. Where does he come from? Is he Indian, American, British, or what? Male body, female body? No, not such calculations at all. No. This is why the past will have no relevance if we take good devotee association. The past can be there, but no relevance. Past cannot block our progress in Krishna consciousness. Hmm? Provided we are protecting the present by good devotee association. So, destiny and destination, two different things. Na? Through destiny, one could be destined to be born in a certain family, live in a certain situation, condition, environment, and all. Huh? Through one's prarabdha, sanskars, all this. But in Krishna consciousness, pure Krishna consciousness, prarabdha also has no role. Prarabdha isn't what is destined to me from my karma, what is already written for me. What is written can be rewritten. Only Krishna can rewrite history. Only Krishna can, and he has demonstrated it. Uh, So only Krishna. Brahmaji might have written something, but only Krishna can rewrite what Brahmaji has written. So we should find so much of encouragement, na? So much of motivation. After seeing and understanding and listening and reading this, we should find so much of attraction towards practicing Krishna consciousness. What is the point? Like we practice mundane society, mundane consciousness, sansari consciousness, no? Worldly consciousness. Where does it lead us? Nowhere. Keeps us stuck in the world only. Huh? And practicing Krishna consciousness in this world, we can attain the transcendental world. And this is the way every one of us has to go through. So why should we not take on this? Why should we not inspire ourselves? Why should we not motivate ourselves? No? We should fully inspire and motivate ourselves for this. No? So destiny cannot block our destination. If our destination is Golok Vrindavan, destiny has as such nothing to do with it, provided we are taking devotee association. Huh. Provided we are taking inspiring devotee association, providing we are developing this vision or have developed this vision of no offenses. Hmm. No offenses. We don't see the external considerations of a devotee. No, all that has to go away. Now, this sin is one thing. Sin is not a big problem. Although sin is not appreciated, it is say condemned only. Uh, but sin has access only to the body. But it is aparad, offenses, they really push us back. Hmm. Our separation from Krishna is not because of sin, say. It is separation because of offenses. Hmm. That thing. So sin is fine. And when we practice Krishna consciousness, na, this is why the general religion, I would say, it can protect one from sin only, not from offenses. In practicing pure Krishna consciousness, one will be free from offenses, or one has to be free from offense in order to understand pure Krishna consciousness, in order to come to practicing pure Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we cannot be practicing, say, pure Krishna consciousness if we are not free from offenses. These offenses has to go all together. And best way to free oneself from offense is what? Seeing the glory in other devotees. Ah, we should make every point to see glory in other devotees and we should be glorifying devotees. We should be very good friends with them. Good, good japa is one thing, yes. Mm, uh, so many offenses we create, na? Offenses at the holy name, na? In chanting offenses, then offenses in the process of Krishna consciousness, mm, offenses in services, offenses in deity worship, uh, offenses in towards scriptures, offenses towards the deities, and biggest is what? Vaishnava aparad, offenses towards devotees. That is hatimatta aparad, na? As we say, see, na? Mentions in the Papad. Hatimatta is in what? This mad elephant. Now, an elephant is very strong, very powerful, right? And mad elephant, an elephant gone mad. Wow, it can create havoc. Now, it does create havoc. Mad elephant, it destroys things. What can it not destroy? So, imagine bhakti is what? Creating a beautiful garden for Radha Krishna. Huh? And if we create offenses, if we make offenses towards devotees, then what happens? That beautiful garden which we created, that mad elephant will come in that garden and pluck, throw away all the trees, the flowers, everything. Everything will be completely spoiled. So that is this Hatimata Aparadna, this offenses. So we should be very careful with offenses. Our Bhakti Lata Bijna, the creeper of our Bhakti, will be is anyways is we are very soft. We are very soft now in Krishna consciousness. We are beginners, we are raw, and we cannot afford to make offenses. We cannot. If one is fearful na, of the effect of offenses, one has to be fearful. One has to be careful. One has to be watchful if one wants to progress in Krishna consciousness. The only reason we are not able to progress, or the only reason we are not developing attachment or have not developed attachment towards Krishna is not sin, it's offenses. Sin is done in ignorance, and offense is done knowingly. Hmm? Sin is in ignorance, okay. When we know and do it, then it is no more a sin. It is conscious, na? Offense affects our consciousness. Sin as well, but in societal sense, those who are living same, uh, the four regulations they just help us not to get distracted or not to go become irreligious. They don't necessarily make us any Krishna conscious, but they help us stay in the path of religion. But this pure Krishna consciousness or say pure religion is what? Rati. With religion, say following the four regulations is what? Uh, is keeping us on the fence of religion piety. But with uh, with practicing Krishna consciousness, practicing Krishna consciousness with association of devotees, we have to develop attachment towards Krishna. And this attachment is what is pure Krishna consciousness. That is what we need to develop this craving for attachment towards Krishna. So that is what we pray. So no more bodily considerations or bodily calculations, bodily estimations or judgments. No, these are no scope for them in Krishna consciousness. Uh, in Krishna consciousness, if there is no separation as such, and if at all there is any separation, it is to boost the union. It is to boost the meeting. That is only. This separation is very good also if we can experience separation in Krishna consciousness. It's tremendous if we can actually experience separation from devotees and from Krishna. Mahaprabhu in his dialogue with Ramananda Rai in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu asks Ramananda Rai, of all separation, what is the biggest, what is the most high, no, of all pains, say, what is the most painful? Then Ramananda Rai replies, what? Separation from devotees is the most painful. Most painful. And blessed are those devotees who can experience this, who experience this. No? So, Krishna consciousness gives us a platform wherein we do not see ourselves also externally. Uh, that that's fine, we are not this body, this is fine. But it is still a negative motivation. We need to realize our true potential. If we are not this body, then which body are we? That should be our focus. That should be our question. Which body are we? Hmm. And we should make all efforts to actually attain our spiritual body, uh, to get attracted towards our spiritual identity, spiritual body, spiritual role, spiritual service, our complete attachment and absorption in Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, any thoughts, questions, or comments? Just like same now we discussed, 100 rupee note, $100 notes. It has got no material calculations in the sense, material calculation in the sense that $100 note is still tradable. It can still be exchanged now, even though if it may has ink on it, say, or some writing, a child may draw a picture on it, but still it is accepted. But it can be accepted now. So it is no defect. Likewise, the externals have no defect amongst devotees. In Ganga, there is no defect. Yamuna, there is no defect. Hmm. Uh, Likewise, when we see deities, we should develop this vision. We are seeing deities actually. We are not seeing like stone or marble. No, that should never be the calculation. Hmm. And if we cannot free ourselves from this calculation, then we cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. And we are still very much in bodily identity. Na? Bodily identity means what? This considering this on this bodily platform only. And to begin with, if I am living in bodily identity, then to begin with, I am seeing myself in the bodily identity, in the bodily capacity. Hmm? And when I don't see myself in the bodily capacity, then I won't see others also. So it begins with me. I should stop seeing myself in the bodily capacity, in the bodily identity, in the external identity. And if I'm genuinely taking senior this association of Mahatpurush, realized devotee or spiritual master, great, yeah. Best association. Spiritual Masters Association is the best association, no comparison of it. Then, in that learning, in that teaching, in that environment, I won't see myself in material understanding and I won't exploit anyone else. I will see others in spiritual light only. So much so that they are advanced than me. They are all advanced than me. Okay, on this note, maybe we give it a rest here. Atha Sagar Unlimited. We can never go much deep in these instructions, but ours is only on the surface and it will be on the surface only. Uh, but we keep on inspiring ourselves in the practice of Krishna consciousness by following these instructions, invoking the blessings of Srila Rupa Goswami. Thank you very much for your kind attention and participation. And next time we meet, we'll continue from text 7. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.